Good day, I'm Ria Fernandez with the top news of the year. This is the MB Rundown 2018 Year-End Special.
Sabi ko, hindi tayo mag-intindihan sa pera ng tao. Umalis ka.
Ito ay tungkol sa ating pinaglabang demokrasya.
It seemed that there is no let-up in President Duterte's campaign against corruption. Several officials, mostly president's ardent supporters and allies, were axed this year from their posts due to alleged irregularities. But some politicians accused of pocketing millions to billions worth of public funds continue to enjoy their freedom. Despite President Rodrigo Duterte's stern warning against corruption,
Sabi ko, hindi tayo mag-intindihan sa pera ng tao. Umalis ka.
some of his appointees got involved with money scandals. Juan Dateo resigned as tourism chief after being embroiled in an anomalous 60 million peso advertisement deal between DOT and state-run People's Television Network with her brothers Ben and Erwin Tulfo. The Commission on Audit flagged a possible conflict of interest in the agreement. Likewise, actor-turned-public servant Cesar Montano stepped down over irregularities in the multi-million peso Buhay Carinderia project. Peace Secretary Jesus Doreza also tendered his resignation late this year due to his subordinates' involvement in corruption. President Duterte went on with his tradition of firing officials in the middle of his public speeches. This year, a number of officials were axed because of alleged corruption. However, some of them were eventually reappointed, namely Jose Gabriel Lavinia from SSS Commissioner to Tourism, then Agriculture Undersecretary, and Nicanor Faeldon from Customs Chief to Bureau of Corrections Director General. Although convicted of graft, former First Lady Imelda Marcos has remained free. The wife of the late dictator Ferdinand Marcos posted 300,000 pesos for temporary liberty, while she appeals her Sandigan Bayan's decision on her corruption and graft cases stemming from the Swiss foundations she created several decades ago. Former Senator Bong Revilla was also acquitted by the anti-graft court after over 4 years in detention due to his alleged involvement in pork barrel scam. Revilla's staff Richard Cambe and the so-called corruption mastermind Janet Lim Napoles were sentenced to life imprisonment. Leadership struggles in two of the three co-equal branches of the government also made headlines this year. In March, Solicitor General Jose Calida filed a quo warranto petition seeking to oust Maria Lourdes Sereno as Chief Justice. Calida questioned Sereno's integrity, arguing that she failed to declare her true wealth as manifested in her incomplete statements of assets, liabilities, and net worth or SALNs. On her judgment day in May, Sereno still showed up and presided the Anbank session. She was later ousted by majority of her colleagues.
Ito ay tungkol sa ating ipinaglabang demokrasya na muling inagaw sa atin.
The House of Representatives also had its own Game of Thrones. The third State of the Nation address of President Duterte was delayed for more or less an hour as former President and now Pampanga Representative Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, in an unprecedented move, unseated and replaced Davao del Norte Representative Pantaleon Alvarez as House Speaker. The President admitted that her daughter Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio had a hand in Alvarez's removal. The political war series also dragged another personality in the scene. President Duterte revoked the amnesty and ordered for the arrest of his staunch critic, Senator Antonio Trillanes IV. Trillanes holed up in his Senate office for almost 2 weeks until he secured his temporary liberty. But it did not end there. Another Davao court ordered for his arrest against a bailable libel case filed by presidential son Paulo Duterte. And the year brought another controversial political event. China's President Xi Jinping made his first state visit to the Philippines amid tensions in the West Philippine Sea. Despite protests, the government said the event brought new chapter in the restoration and strengthening of ties between the two countries. The visit gave birth, 29 agreements were inked, including oil and gas deal. The tax reform law took effect January 1 this year. One of the aims of the measure is for workers to get higher take-home pay. But coincidentally, prices of rice and other basic goods spiked, prompting many Filipinos to tighten their budget. The effectivity of the Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion or TRAIN law kicked off on the first day of 2018. While the measure promised to ease financial burden of many Filipinos by lowering the personal income tax, among others, it was not felt that way. This as prices of basic commodities coincidentally soared. It came to a point that a kilo of rice in Zamboanga was around 70 pesos. Cost of oil also jumped. The inflation rate reached 6.7% in September, the highest in 9 years. Citizens, especially the poor ones, had to further tighten their meager budget to make both ends meet. Critics pointed at the TRAIN law as the culprit of higher rates. There were then calls to review and reconsider its implementation. Some lawmakers also expressed concerns on the move to pass the second tax reform package called the Tax Reform for Attracting Better and High-Quality Opportunities or Trabaho Bill. Trabaho eyes reduction in corporate taxes from 30 to 20% and generation of over 1 million jobs. The government, particularly the administration's economic manager, said that the uptick was due to unscrupulous rice traders and soaring oil prices in the world market, to name a few, and not because of TRAIN law. The resiliency of Filipinos was tested once again as natural and man-made disasters battered the country. Barangay Ukab in Itogon, Benguet was once a community inhabited by families of small-scale miners. Later on, the place became the land of the dead. This after the destructive typhoon Ompong caused massive landslide in the area, burying at least 90 people alive. In Naga City, Cebu, a portion of a mountain also collapsed just a few days after the disaster in Benguet. Dozens were killed and believed to have been trapped while sleeping. But the Mindanao region is fighting a different enemy. Last June, the military clashed with the ISIS Maute group in Lanao del Sur towns. 5 alleged terrorists were killed. The following month, the AFP confirmed that Abu Sayyaf was behind the Basilan bombing, which killed 10 people. The continuous insurgency in the region led President Duterte to request for another extension of martial law. The Congress approved the prolonged implementation of martial rule for public safety, but some groups opposed the move due to alleged human rights violations, especially among farmers, indigenous peoples, and Moro communities. Despite trials and mishaps, Filipinos have proven anew their caliber in the international stage and brought pride to the country. The return of the historic Balanghiga bells by the United States after over a century was also celebrated. After 117 years, the historic Balanghiga bells were finally returned by the United States to the Philippines. These bells were seized by American soldiers in September 1901 during their retaliation against the Filipino guerrillas in Balanghiga town in eastern Samar. The Philippine government was also able to bring back Boracay Island's pristine condition after shutting it down for 6 months. Tourist destinations in the provinces of Palawan, Bohol, as well as the Manila Bay will also undergo massive rehabilitation, the same efforts made to Boracay. Filipino athletes also emerged triumphant in sports. August this year, Heidelin Diaz, Marjeline Didal, Yuka Saso, Bianca Pagdanganan, and Luis K. Go were dubbed as the Philippine Golden Girls for earning 4 gold medals in the 2018 Asian Games. Meanwhile, Kelsey Merritt became the first Filipino model to walk in the prestigious runway of Victoria's Secret fashion show in New York. And
the new Miss Universe is Philippines!
with her beauty, wit, and hard work, Philippines' Beth Catriona Gray was hailed as the most beautiful woman in the universe this year. Gray, the 4th Filipina crowned as Miss Universe, bested 93 candidates from different countries. And those are the top news of the year. I'm Ria Fernandez. This is the MB Rundown 2018 Year-End Special.